Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Helen Liao. Thank you for joining us. Coming up in today's show, we take a look at the current situation in Nantou County, Taiwan after the recent strong quake. We go to Taipei's famous book streets and investigate the problems behind the fading of the retail bookstore industry. And Shanghai Tzu Chi volunteers travel to Shuyang County, Jiangsu Province to hand out scholarships to 200 needy students. We kick off the show in Taiwan. The 6.3 magnitude earthquake, which struck Nantou County on June 2nd, has triggered landslides and rockfalls in mountain areas. Today, the tremor has at least killed 4 people and destroyed many buildings. In our next report, we go to Zhushan Town, Lugu, and Xingyi Township to take a look at the current situation.
Through camera footage, we see that as soon as the earthquake struck, the tables and chairs in this restaurant began to shake violently, sending panicked residents scrambling to the streets.
It lasted about 10 seconds. The ground was shaking violently and everybody ran outside.
Those who were lucky escaped misfortune. However, Xiao, a farmer from Xinsan village in Suili Township, was inspecting irrigation pipes in the mountains and was killed by falling rocks triggered by the quake. Despite the rescue efforts, Xiao showed no vital signs upon discovery. Upon hearing the tragic news, Xiao's wife broke down in tears. Other injuries included 4 who were fishing at the Ruilong waterfall in Zhusan when the earthquake struck, with the falling rock killing 1. Rescue workers found the man's body beneath the rock the next day, by which time he was showing no signs of life.
Within 3 seconds of the earthquake, boulders came tumbling down and there was no time to escape.
Local officials caution members of the public to refrain from heading into mountainous areas to prevent any further casualties. This is the 32-kilometer point on Provincial Highway 16. The earthquake, which rattled Nantou County on Sunday, resulted in severe landslides, which blocked the entire highway. Only after some time was a small path cleared of debris. The pathway serves as a temporary passage for rescue workers. With food supplies on their backs, the rescue team heads off into the mountains in search of the 80 DD villagers who were trapped without any food or water. In the distance, we see some local villagers scramble for help. The sudden earthquake also brought devastation to Xingyi Township's columbarium, where 20 incinerating urns were jolted to the ground from the tremor. Upon receiving the news, family members rushed to the scene and were left helpless at what they saw.
The 3 urns were all mixed together. We can't tell whose is who.
Meanwhile, further past the Fenghuanggu Bird and Ecology Park, landslides have turned the Qinshui Creek into a quake lake.
The quake lake is 15 meters wide, 15 meters long, and about 3 to 4 meters deep. The nearest bridge is 9 kilometers away, so in the likelihood of a dam bridge, it won't pose an immediate threat.
The local township office and the Water Conservation Bureau have said that the quake lake will gradually drain out. Thus, there is no need for concern at this point. Reconstructed in the aftermath of the 9/21 earthquake, Lugu Junior High School, however, was unable to withstand this recent 6.3 magnitude tremor. The 5-story clock tower suffered structural damage and has been detached from the connecting corridor. Damage caused to the water tower also affected the school's power and water supply. With lights, tables, and chairs scattered across the floors, no classroom escaped unscathed.
We have been cleaning since yesterday. They were here yesterday.
Immediately after the earthquake, teachers and staff began to clean up the school grounds with the help of some 20 Army officers. School was put on hold for a day due to safety concerns.
We want to make sure our classrooms are safe, and once it has been addressed, classes will resume.
The sight of cracks in the walls and collapsed ceilings is evidence of the magnitude and intensity of the tremor. As the building is no longer safe and with the upcoming graduation ceremony, it is possible the school will have to host the event in an alternative venue.
Following the strong quake, Tzu Chi's Puli liaison office in Nantou County was damaged. On June 3rd, more than 20 Tzu Chi volunteers came together to help clean up the venue.
Fallen cement lies scattered on the staircase. Pieces of the ceiling also lay on the ground. As volunteers walk upstairs, the damage caused by the quake is even clearer.
The tremor here in Puli town was strong. We are near the epicenter, DaAi Township, where the magnitude 6.3 earthquake struck. Some light steel frames and lamp installations fell down.
Damaged items lay scattered on the ground. A volunteer slips on one accidentally. Here at the Puli Liaison office, over 20 volunteers work together to clean up the venue. Despite the damage at her own home, Tzu volunteer Lin Yuejiao comes to restore their cultivation ground first.
This is my work. I have to finish it before cleaning up my home.
Upon learning that an 83-year-old grandma was injured, Tzu volunteers arrived to offer much-needed assistance.
As the quake hit, the grandma rushed outside, but the tremor made her fall.
The grandma's pelvis was broken and she will have to undergo surgery. Thankfully, Tzu volunteers will be around to tend to disaster survivors such as herself.
Dr. Zhen Yutzi of National Taiwan University Hospital was struck down by a drunk driver on May 28th. Pronounced brain dead shortly after, her family members decided to donate her organs to those in need. Although she'll be greatly missed, her spirit carries on in the lives she has touched.
Her beauty can now only be viewed through old photographs. In her college roommate's eyes, Zhen Yutzi, former doctor at National Taiwan University Hospital, was known for being good-natured, able to work well under pressure, and someone that looked out for her fellow classmates. She always took care of those around her. She only had one goal. Her happiness came from others being happy. She could not stand seeing suffering or sadness in others. If she could help, she would always help. Zhen attended Hualien's Tzu University, majoring in medicine, and her love for the subject was clear from early on. She chose to specialize in the field of rare infectious disease and long-term care for HIV/AIDS patients.
In college, a professor asked us if we would be willing to care for an HIV/AIDS patient. Most of us were scared and hesitated, but Yutzi was not like that. She simply wanted to help people.
After graduation, Zhen chose to do her residency at NTU Hospital, where her dedication to the job was more than commendable.
We had to report to the hospital on the 1st of July, but our exam was at the end of July. So for a recent graduate, it was a rather difficult time, as we had pressures at work and had to study at the same time.
For Zhen's loved ones, the decision to donate all available organs was difficult, but they wanted to fulfill her wish to help as many people as possible.
I think Yutzi would have wanted to continue to help people. Her family's heart and mind should be at ease in knowing this was what she wanted to do at the end of her life.
Although what is left of the good-natured doctor are now only photographs and memories, her passing was not in vain. If you weren't involved in a drunk driving accident, then society would not have taken notice of this issue, so your loss of life was not pointless. Also, because you donated your organs, it has raised awareness of this topic in the public eye. Dr. Zhen Yutzi's death brought tears and sorrow to her loved ones, but her selfless organ donation has brought hope and happiness to many in need.
In recent years, with the economic downturn as well as the booming of online bookstores, many retail bookstores in Taiwan have closed down. Next, we go to Taipei's Chongqing South Road, an area once famous for its bookstores, and investigate the problems behind the fading of the retail bookstore industry.
The store around the corner on Yuanlin Street is an American restaurant. In the past, this building was called the Zhonghua Building, and the Zhonghua Bookstore was located in it. Over there is DaZhongguo Publishing Company, and next to it is a securities firm. The Guangdong Bookstore used to be here.
Taipei's Chongqing South Road is well known for its bookstores. In its glory days, this area once had more than 100 book publishing companies and bookstores, but now there are less than half of that number.
Many bookstore sellers told me that from January till now, sales have gone down by 20 to 30%. The refund rate has increased by 20 to 30%. If publishing companies are not doing well, likewise, retail bookstores will not do well either.
Inside this bookstore, customers are nowhere to be seen. To continue the business and earn extra cash, the front of this bookstore has transformed into a bakery. In fact, the store will soon be out of business as this place will be transformed into a restaurant.
If there are 10 free spaces, 7 will be turned into restaurants. Of the 3 stores left, 2 will be renovated into hotels, and the last one will be used for other purposes.
As the profit made from selling food is at least double than that of selling books, Chongqing South Road has transformed from a well-known book street to one that is filled with restaurants. To survive, the bookstores that remain are adding side businesses, such as cafes where offering specialty books. This is specialty bookstore owner Huang Chenye, who has moved his bookstore to the 3rd floor to save on rent. Inside his store, most of the area has been turned into a coffee shop, and selling books is now a side business. To survive, Huang has turned his bookstore into one specializing in Japanese books, and his business has now stabilized. Currently, many bookstores on Chongqing South Road have transformed into specialty bookstore. As they note, finding the right niche market is the key to survival.
There are so many book publishing companies and books. Many people tend to purchase books from the internet, but there are still many that like to browse through bookstores. Nowadays, only specialty bookstores can attract customers.
A downturn in Taiwan's economy and the rise of online bookstores have put many booksellers out of business. This problem is not only seen on Taipei's Chongqing South Road, but also on Guilin Street, which was also once famous for its bookstores.
I feel very lonely. In the past, every weekend you would see crowds of people in this area. If you take a look around here, you don't see many bookstores left. Many bookstores have closed down.
Whether it is Chongqing South Road or Guilin Street, the reality is that the golden era of book streets has passed. Does this mean that Taiwanese are reading less, or their reading habits are not the same anymore? Although there is no definite answer to these questions, it is obvious that online bookstore and e-books will succumb to dominant retail bookstore industry.
I think in the future, retail bookstores will go out of business one by one and fade away just like other sunset industries.
In Indonesia, Tzu Chi volunteers held an exhibition at a local mall in Tenggara, Batam province to introduce Jingsi publications and products to members of the public. Volunteers also display eco-friendly products to raise awareness of the importance of protecting the planet.
Here in a hall inside a shopping mall, Tenggara and Tzu Chi volunteers have set up an exhibition booth with the aim of introducing the Tzu Chi Foundation to passers-by, with the environmental conservation area being the most popular.
We manufacture many items which produce waste, and this waste causes pollution. I think it's great and much needed that Tzu Chi volunteers recycle and reuse items.
Although over 80% of residents in Indonesia are Muslim, the Chinese population here is mainly Buddhist. Thus, this year, volunteers decided to hold a Buddha Day ceremony at a local shopping mall, hoping to attract more bodhisattvas.
This
is the first time we have held a Buddha Day ceremony outside of our venue. This event is to let the public know that there are still places to attend Buddha Day ceremonies, and we also hope to seek like-minded people to join our ranks. Volunteers also invited Nurul Iman Islamic boarding school students to perform a sign language song, signifying love and care is universal.
pondok kita, itu guru kita mengajar.
In our studies, our teachers taught us assistance crosses religious boundaries. Tzu Chi volunteers frequently care for us on this Buddhist holiday. We came to perform a sign language song so more people can get to know the foundation.
Bisa membantu.
It's been busy from morning to night, but seeing the public's joy in attending the Buddha Day ceremony, happiness has taken over our tired bodies.
Religious differences do not hinder the Islamic boarding school students' involvement in this Buddha Day ceremony, demonstrating how a diverse culture lives in harmony with all its different facets.
The massive flooding that occurred in Jakarta earlier this year caused devastation to many regions. With Indonesia's Navy supplying rafts and amphibious vehicles, Tzu Chi volunteers were able to carry out aid distribution successfully. Continuing the collaboration, the two organizations decided to sign a memorandum of understanding.
Earlier this year, floodwaters devastated Jakarta, Indonesia. In Pluit district, roads became streams. Tzu Chi volunteers were on site every day to hand out hot meals and conduct free clinics. Indonesia's Navy were also on hand to provide rafts and amphibious vehicles.
When we arrived at the disaster zone, Tzu Chi volunteers have already set up an emergency station, and we immediately started working with Tzu Chi.
The positive partnership has paved the way for a memorandum of understanding between the Indonesian Navy and Tzu Chi, which details emergency response, environmental protection, and free clinics. Some Navy officers have also started raising money for Tzu Chi and become Tzu Chi members.
We have a lot of confidence in the Tzu Chi Foundation, as they are a service-oriented organization. They cared about members of the public and provide aid in the aftermath of disasters.
I hope more people will get to know Tzu Chi, and volunteers and members will also increase, so the suffering of the poor can be alleviated.
While teaching the rich to help the poor, Tzu Chi volunteers in Indonesia have gained a valuable partner.
China, Shanghai Tzu Chi volunteers recently traveled once again to Shuyang County, Jiangsu Province, where they handed out scholarships to 200 impoverished students.
For this grandmother who single-handedly cares for her sick son and young granddaughter, the scholarship aid that the volunteers bring is like a gift from heaven. Full of happiness, the grandmother breaks out in song. Twice a year, Shanghai Tzu Chi volunteers will drive 6 hours to Shuyang, where they deliver hope and love to needy students and their families. Students of Zhengde Middle School, at the side of the distribution, also did their best to help wherever needed.
It is about service, like how you help children in need. Therefore, we ourselves should give without the expectation of reward.
It has been tiring for sure, but that's no big deal. Being busy for a whole day actually has a lot of good points and has been a chance to learn a lot.
This time around, volunteers bring aid for 200 students, giving them the chance to study free of financial worries. In addition to monetary aid, volunteers also bring life teachings through Jin's aphorisms.
I have wanted to say sorry for ages, but I could never get myself to do it.
We are friends forever. Even if we argue, we are still friends.
Although these students don't have much, they know how to cherish what is important in life.
Established by the Caotun Psychiatric Center, Jialao Villa in Taiwan's Nantou is the first rehabilitation community in the country that helps drug addicts recover without using medication. Thus far, the villa has treated 273 addicts, of which 73% have remained drug-free. Here's more.
Regulate your breathing. Inhale, inhale, inhale. Exhale, exhale, exhale. Go, go, go.
Each of the self-portraits, no matter how big or small, has a different meaning.
1、2、3、4、5、6、7、8。各位要用心打，跟我们家老的爱心便当。
I used ketamine for 3 years. I've lived here for 9 months now.
吸毒的自己跟现在的自己。
Do I want to be who I was when I used drugs, or be the person I am now? I often ask myself, which life do you want?
Most of them are here because of referrals via district attorneys or district courts from all over Taiwan. We also accept those who check themselves in voluntarily. As they live here for an extended period of time, we call them residents.
What these drug addicts have in common is that they live an irregular life where their day was night. After coming here, we enroll them in our programs and help them re-establish regularity to their life.
Severing their ties to drugs without medication but through rigid living, at Chielao Villa in Taiwan's Nantou, residents study, clean and make meals together.
我在家里的事情。
At home, my mom and dad take care of everything. Here, I have to do everything myself. Sometimes I get frustrated and become very impatient.
会觉得很不耐烦。
To help residents cope with their frustration, both one-on-one counseling and creative art therapy are offered.
Today's theme is self-portraits. Come everyone, imagine if you are to make a painting of yourself, what will it look like? During the process, they're encouraged to compose freely and let their creativity run wild. This helps them find emotional release and raises their self-awareness.
Repenting their past through accepting a healthier lifestyle, residents keep a diary to document their progress. 18-year-old Anne, who started using ketamine in junior high, has now been here for 9 months.
放假回去的时候。
When I go home on vacations, I will run into my old gang, who will try to tempt me by offering me drugs. I turn them down because I don't want to fail, just because I can't resist the temptation.
因为一次的经不起诱惑，就这样子失败了。
However, the first 3 months at the villa are the most difficult, as this is when the withdrawal symptoms are at their worst.
When I get a craving, it feels like ants are biting all over my body. The pain is just unbearable. I will also have trouble sleeping at night. I will just lie there tossing and turning, unable to fall asleep.
While undergoing therapy here, peer pressure plays a key role. By supporting and encouraging each other, they will be able to follow through.
Running a marathon is also a part of therapy, as the sport helps discipline both the mind and the body.
Pay attention to your breathing. Make sure you are pacing yourself. Alright, come on, keep it up.
In rebuilding their lives, residents also need to develop new job skills through career training.
饭就是不能压它，要松松的。哎，大家好。好久不见。
37-year-old Hong was a former resident of the villa. Discharged over a year ago, he still returns regularly to check on everyone.
I have learned to control my urge and will no longer let drugs undermine my life. I want them to know that if I can do it, so can they.
If you have the heart, you will succeed, is the villa's motto. Residents check in to check out, and once out, they hope they will never come into contact with drugs again.
We go to the United States at the end of the show. Tzu volunteers in both Texas and California held gratitude banquets to thank teachers and students for their endless support. We will leave you with these images. Thank you for tuning in. Goodbye.